Sorry, pushed the wrong button. Excuse me, Nori.
I was like, did I say something secret?
No.
But I don't know if Kirsten, you want to jump in and talk to this at all? But these are things that we had talked about in that space as well. And I think they're relevant here to form a problem statement for the circle.
But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what to say though. I would say that, like Aidan, what you said with a link that you could give your friends, they will probably then ask you stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think that's the missing link for once. And in that room, it became apparent that people need something like a person, kind of, or a group or whatever. And I have no idea how to facilitate that, because Swarm is a group, Discord is groups, and it's all groups. And I have no idea how to make an easier group.
Mm-hmm.
But just sending links will not work for everybody. And if they know that you know that stuff, they will just call you, but not everybody knows somebody that knows what's going on, right?
Yeah, I see what you mean.
So the bridge.
Yeah. And also the idea of, if you don't know that person, are you, maybe not everyone's going to feel comfortable, maybe English isn't their first language, and that's where the resources are available in. Maybe they don't feel comfortable, hopping into a Zoom call and trying to practice their English, that, if that's kind of the dominant language being spoken, they may not feel comfortable doing so, even if they are trying to speak with someone else. So yeah, it's definitely a hard thing to do. And also there's a level of interactability with it. Cause I mean, you kind of assume that these people are coming in out of their own interest. So you want to make sure that you aren't, sending them to here's the extended UTXO paper from, IOHK, just read through this and you'll understand how transactions occur on the Cardano blockchain. They might be like, really having fun sifting through these 86 pages of complex, math-based code. So I think that's a great point. How do you make sure that they have the almost like in the customer service world, what's referred to as the self-service versus the live service? Self-service being, that's like the frequently asked questions and kind of the resources available to the person for them to be able to solve their problems or learn what they need to learn by themselves. Whereas live service is when you kind of have that, almost human component to it, where you have someone you can chat with or get on the phone with. So maybe you could kind of take a customer service model of self and live service and try to do something with that. I'm not really sure. That's a great point though.
Almost like community guides or something like that, or like the greeter as you walk into Walmart. And like,
yeah,
there's a human face there that says, hi, welcome.
Maybe this is an interesting point, because I remember speaking with Victor, or I was just in a breakout room, and one thing he was saying was a problem is that the community advisor role has a period of dormancy where there's not much engagement, because they're waiting for that 2-week-long period where they have a hot streak where they're doing a bunch of proposal reviews. So maybe a way that we can almost solve the onboarding live human problem and also solve a problem where you have this dormancy period for community advisors. What if part of the community advisor role was to facilitate that interaction of, hey, the community advisors who are interested maybe can have some sort of economic incentive to onboard people into the system, so that they don't only review stuff, but they also help onboard and introduce. So that could be a potential. I mean, that could be the live service portion of it. And then I know there's many amazing websites that are even being built by members of the swarm who are working to essentially solve that problem of that one link that you get to be onboarded into the entire ecosystem.
Yeah, I was looking at Mike's kind of diagram that he posted the other day, and kind of you start here, and that kind of walks you through the whole Cardano Catalyst ecosystem and how proposals work and all that. I think it's really great to have things like that. Does anybody know about the Cardano Ambassadors program? Because that also looks like seems like a natural group that would step into this role. And I only know that Maria was one, but I don't know if that's still a thing, or how it works, or how one becomes an ambassador.
There's a sign-in program to become an ambassador. And very often I think the ambassador, especially really this role is, the main task is really to onboard, introduce, facilitate entry point and everything. Also very often for example, you have ambassadors for language translation. For example, Japanese, Korean ambassadors, their main job is to translate Cardano or Catalyst related content into their native language.
Seems like there's a big opportunity here for people who really love that kind of stuff to contribute to the community by being the people who onboard and create content or translate materials. And if you don't have technical skills or you're not able to create smart contracts, there's still ways to contribute and do stuff that's recognized and rewarded. Getting back to the other one is, how do we reward people for their contributions that we think are valuable?
And I think also now we are really in the problem sensing, because we need to take focus on, okay, state these two problems already to the Catalyst circle. So maybe by deep diving already in the solutions, this will come later, I think. It's just on the 28th, Toolmakers and Maintainers have to present 2 problem statements. And I think that we are already on a point where we can say, okay, one is really contribution, participation, reputation, which leads to rewarding. Rewarding leads to maybe alternative funding as well. So for people who maybe gets not funded for proposal, how to keep them motivated and anyway in the ecosystem. And this means this would be a part also on the onboarding introducing process. So onboarding means how to reach out to people, how to connect to other communities, how to link them active and integrate them into the ecosystem. And then make sure, okay, well, when they join the ecosystem, be able to offer an infrastructure which allows them, okay, to find their place to be. And afterwards as well, incentives and maybe solutions to offer them a sustainable place also into this ecosystem to allow them to stay. So there is a relation between these both problem statements already. And now I think, what would you say? Because I don't feel so good to go with 2 sticky notes into the Catalyst circle.
3 weeks of work.
Exactly. I don't want to say that it's not valid.
3 sessions later, here you go.
Exactly.
Your door.
Look what we got. So what do you think? How should these problem statements be presented?
That's a good question.
Mhm.
Is there, I guess a good start almost for like formatting is kind of mirroring the problem statement that proposals submit. You know, we could almost like look at what has successful, like Liquid has been extremely successful in Project Catalyst. You know, how do they usually frame their proposed or problem statements? That could be an interesting, if we're looking kind of for some level of formatting, that could be an interesting one. I have it. I have the Fund 4 results here that everyone can check out. And I can check out Liquid's proposal as well.
Do you have a link for that?
Yeah, I just sent the link to the kind of page that gives all of the funded Fund 4. So for example, their Haskell devs for Liquid Plutus. Smart contracts was Plutus's Cardano smart contract layer written in Haskell. First target users to build secure DeFi contracts in Plutus are senior. Yeah, so doesn't really seem like they hit the problem statement, in all honesty. That, and on an offbeat notice, I've noticed that a lot of proposers kind of like to take advantage of the problem statement to just kind of speak to their project as opposed to actually mentioning the problem. But that's another note.
I like your direction. I think instead of sticky notes, we should write a doc, like a 1 or 2 page kind of statement that says, this is what we think is the problem statement and why. At my company, we don't do PowerPoints as much. We write documents because it helps clarify thinking, and it makes things way more clear when it's kind of written out. And I have done many of these kind of docs in the past where somebody takes the lead in writing it, and then a group of people can edit or add suggestions or comments and questions. And I find that really effective. So that might work here if somebody wants to volunteer for one or the other kind of problem statement that we're kind of narrowing in on. It sounds like it's kind of the reputation, contribution, reward problem. And then the other one is the onboarding and how do you get started, kind of are we welcoming and make sure people know how to get to where they want to be, kind of problem statement.
One thing that one thing that I've learned in a past internship thing that I did is using the words "how might we" as almost like a way. It's not a problem statement, but it's more like a problem question, I guess you could say. So you say like, how might we create a quality onboarding experience that, you know, takes a user from zero knowledge about Cardano to being able to interact with, you know, every event or I guess category of the Cardano. It's almost like how you kind of set a scope for your problem statement, if that's of interest to people as well. So, but I guess that's kind of, yeah. So Felix, they want a statement, not any type of question, I guess you could say.
So
Okay.
I can show you what, wait. Statement, where is it? The notes. So, agenda. Can you see the document?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna share it as well so everybody can watch it. This was the agenda, okay, maybe not this one. I put a link in the live chat, and there you can see the document. I've posted the document also as a copy already on the Discord server in the Toolmakers and Maintainers. Exactly, here you have it. So the notes from the very first meeting, and there it's defined already. So We're gonna show it to everybody so it's clear. It's this one. So no, just stay on this one. And normally the last the last message I have sent in the live chat here in the Zoom call.
Hmm.
You can see it, and then when we go down, yeah, decision. So it's on page number. What is it for? Page number. Can't see the page number. Maybe it doesn't work with shared screen. Exactly this part here.
So what problem do you see? Why is problem?
So decision for next meeting. First, list the problem within your group. Problem statement rubric. What problem do you see? Why is solving this problem important to the mission of Project Catalyst? Can you articulate the gap between the current state and the expected or envisioned state? How might the value of solving this problem be quantified and or measured? Optional. Second, rank the problems. Focus on top 2 statements. Third, share your feedback with each other and look for problem statements to solve together. So for example, this would be really this the onboarding problem already, where we said in the very first meeting already, we're gonna team up with Juliane, Victor, and Loris. He joined as well. Fourth, place problem in accessible backlog tools. Know what this really means? Somebody knows what it means?
Trello is like almost like a work management software.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So it's like something like Airtable or Jira.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe we could define it by those 4 questions already. List the problems within your groups. What problems? What problem do you see? There we have already, okay, onboarding and reputation. Well, okay, maybe we can define it a little better than onboarding and reputation.
That's even better than the sticky note, Felix.
Yeah. I mean, come on. Let's
Onboarding.
Punk's not bad at that. Onboarding.
You got it down to 2 words.
Yeah.
What problem? What problem do you see? Yes. Yes.
A thumbs up emoji.
Okay, so
I guess this is kind of like you drilling in on the idea, like what aspect of the onboarding is the biggest problem? Is it the guided experience? Like the user doesn't have like a guided experience through Project Catalyst? Or is it that just in general, when a user wants to get involved, they just don't really know where to go?
Yeah. I think all of those were mentioned at some point. And I think the higher level category was just how do we have effective knowledge and communication and guidance for people when they're first coming in.
I think like the aggregation of data. So like, how do you take all the information available in different places and bring it all together so that you can access what you want to learn about next. Like I think I see sort of like the problem of maybe guidance and directing people to what they should look at next, and taking information from different sources and bringing it together.
That's a good point. It almost may be helpful to speak to someone that recently went through the onboarding experience. Because then you might like that, like what you were just saying, you might get that actual individual pieces of data. So if we're talking about onboarding, maybe we should go talk to people that were just onboarded and then ask them their experiences. Where did they feel the pain points? But it might be a little too late to do that if you have just like 3.5 days.
Yeah, but that's a good ongoing thing. Maybe anybody who's new that shows up in the community, we can just ask them that question, or have a space where they can fill out a survey or something to give us a little bit of feedback on where their pain points were, how they had any difficulties or challenges in onboarding or getting around.
So I just sent the second doc in the live chat. And maybe I just wrote the very first points on just the very first draft down. So once is onboarding, introducing process and infrastructure. Well, it's not a problem statement. It's just not yet, but well. And second, engagement reputation system, which leads to an alternative rewarding system.
I think the 3 sentences that Nori said were very neutral, not negative. The how can we? And it was, what was it? It was communication, guidance, and a third that you might still know, Nori.
I didn't take notes of what I actually said.
Okay, so I gotta take notes. Just so you guys speak, I take notes.
We need to rewind the recording and play it back.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was worded really easy to understand, and it had like, and it would be rankable, let's put it that way. Like we could think about, is communication the issue, or is it guidance? So how do we rank in between the onboarding problems? Like, yeah.
I guess maybe it would be helpful. I don't know. This is something that I have some kind of, I do some like product experience work. So one thing that I like to do is kind of develop out the user journey. And that can be something as simple as, you know, in a Google Doc, you just have like an ordered list and you basically write out the user journey. And what can be helpful there is then you kind of have this step-by-step process, and you can kind of think of from there, where are the gaps? So that could be helpful in terms of what are the specific steps of the onboarding process. And if it seems difficult to say, this is step 1, this is step 2, this is step 3, that's where you know there's a problem, because there's not a clear path forward. I guess.
taken a stab at summary of what we've been talking about. I'll paste it in the doc just to see what you guys think.
Yeah, I feel like that's a great. I think that definitely answers the initial question of what problem do you see? I think that's like a perfect answer for it. And it'd be pretty easy to answer, like, why is solving this problem important to the mission of Project Catalyst? That's very clear.
And I like problem statements which are not stated as a question.
Mhm.
So here maybe we can just say missing as a, let's say as a title. Is this acceptable? Missing onboarding, introduction process and infrastructure.
Yeah.
Okay.
How about missing bridges in the onboarding and introduction?
Missing bridges in and around. But now it sounds a little weird, no? Missing bridges. Regarding. Simply like this. Sounds fine for you, Carsten?
Yeah.
Yes, of course. I just think the bridge is positive, and it's like seriously what people need, I guess. Like if you don't have an IT background, you wouldn't know that you can participate if there's not a bridge of communication or information that tells you we value all kinds of things here. So
So I think the first one looks really fine for me already.
Mhm.
What do you think?
Mm. And then from here, do we want to try to answer kind of like all these things in the problem statement rubric? Do we want this like one paragraph to answer that all, or do we want to kind of answer those in their own, I guess, paragraphs or separated texts?
What do you think?
I think it's nice to kind of answer each question like individually, because then it's the 45 minutes just ended, just a heads up. I think it's nice to kind of answer them like, because the first kind of paragraph we have here is very much so what the problem we see. And then I think it'd be very easy to make a tab down and then state why solving this problem is important to the mission of Project Catalyst. It should seem quite obvious based off of the information given in the prior question, but I think it's nice to kind of have a little bit of space between those two, so you know what question you're answering.
So I would say, for example,
I agree with that.
this one would be a little bit. This part, why is solving the, can you articulate the gap between, no, please no. So let's say this is regarding the first point. What problem do you see? Check this one. Okay. So next one would be why is solving this problem important to the mission of Project Catalyst?
For me, that basically comes down to, I feel that diversity is one of our most powerful assets. And if we're able to be inclusive, welcoming, and make it easy for people to start to participate in a meaningful way, it helps. Just the fact that we have all these diverse inputs will make us much stronger as a community and make Catalyst as a ecosystem that much more healthy and robust.
I would agree, Nori, that like Catalyst is first and foremost, in Cardano writ large, is a community run by the community. And so we need to make sure that every single person in the community sees that they have a place in Cardano and Catalyst. And so if we don't solve this problem and reach out and have those bridges, then we're never going to succeed in our mission, because we're all instantly going to be alienating people.
Instantly alienating people. This sounds really cool. I'm gonna write this down. Okay, so we need to create a sentence out of this, but just as a short note. Wait, let's say do it like this.
And I guess more to avoid instantly alienating people. So we don't want to solve it to instantly alienate people. We want to avoid instantly alienating people.
A small change,
But an important change.
yes.
Could be a goal setting
Very.
as well. To set up a structure to instantly alienating people.
Also, I just want to check in. Did that broadcast message I sent out about the timer? Did anyone else see that, or
Yeah.
did I?
Yes.
I
Awesome.
saw it.
Awesome. Thank you. Just wanted to make sure I didn't send it out to no one.
So for everybody who wants to jump back in the main room, feel free. But I think I still go on a little bit with the problem sensing. But no, at least no. What do you decide?
So I will say one thing that's challenging a lot is that we always say we're going to do 45 minutes and go back, but then there's this really awkward. So I think it should be, we all go back. And then if people want to do it after, they come back to the room, because it's really discouraging to go back to the main room and people don't come, and you're sitting there by yourself. In my opinion, though, it's just my opinion.
Everybody agree with this?
Yeah, I agree with it as well. And I think it's one of those things where if you're the first group back to the main room, you can kind of continue your discussion there and then wait for other people to. I think it's one of those things where it's like, if you're on something that's really kind of juicy, you got maybe stick with it, but get back to the main room when there is a natural break.
Okay.
But I think it's totally up to the members involved, I would say.
Any arguments against? So let's move back.
Okay. And then those who are interested can come back afterwards.
Yep.
Happy to continue. Yeah. Okay. You in a minute.
Feel like I have to speak up of those for those people. So that's actually, yeah, I feel really obliged because those people are just as engaged, sometimes even more, but they need to feed because COVID and economic crisis is raving right now. It's like sometimes we feel like nothing is happening and we are doing this for the developing countries, but we forget that they need our help right now. So I would say we really need to speed up and try to be as quick and as fast because the situation is not something that's going to happen. No, it's happening now and it's going to get worse. So that's, yeah, my point of view on that.
All right, thanks, Rick. I got to jump off. I got another meeting, but if someone from my group can give the feedback, that would be helpful. Thanks, Aiden.
Hey, thank you so much, Josh. Have a great day.
Yeah,
you.
tschüssi.
Hello,
Alrighty,
guys.
everybody. Oh, go ahead, Jacob.
So you were collecting feedback from the different rooms, right?
Yeah, in the main room now. Yeah, it's we can kind of open up the feedback discussion, and if anyone kind of has a little bit that they want to share, I'd be happy to kind of launch into it all. So does anyone kind of want to start off?
I'm happy.
I was gonna say something similar. It was a really good, nice discussion. Everybody was polite and there came some great ideas to the front, but for the rest, actually not much to say.
For me,
Yeah.
what was quite interesting to see just by the last two sessions of the problem sensing was the first session. It was quite focused and we came up with a bunch of problem statements, and it was quite easy to break 26 problem statements down to 9. In the second session, it was extremely difficult to focus on this 9 problem statements. But what was possible already to relate the problem statements to each other, and today it was really comfortable and fast to be agree on, yes, okay, the 2 main problem statements which come out by the relation of the problems between them. So it's quite interesting to see on the beginning, it really goes down, then it takes a lot of time in the middle step, but at closer it comes to the end of the very first step, then wow, then it goes really fast. So really impressed also by the focus of the people.
You experienced the collective bottleneck in thinking the second session.
Mm-hmm. And even without giving any real structure to it, because there isn't a master architecture behind it. It's up to the people in the main room to decide, okay, how does it go? How is it go on? So
isn't that a bit like, I think, like laying puzzles, for instance? You lay there and you sit there and you don't know how to start, but once you lay 1 or 2 pieces, suddenly the thing shoots up. And the second time you just have trouble to finding that first 1 or 2 pieces of the puzzle or something like that, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I thought this week was good. I talked to Maria the whole time. It was just the 2 of us in the room. So we had a really nice connection, talking about all the work she's put in. I really appreciate that you guys were willing to come back to this room in my last few experiences. So I've come to many of these. I find often we don't return back to the room, and then there's this really unnatural dissolution of the meeting. I like that you guys came back now, can have kind of this closing feedback. And then when people want to work, go back to the breakout room to continue. I just think as we get more people participating, I think it's good to have that for new people too, to have that structure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so maybe part of the, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. maybe it'd be nice for at least the moderator or whoever kind of has the role next time for them to kind of say, hey, really when the 45-minute timer goes out, we broadcast out that message that the 45 minutes is up. Let's really try to wrap up the questions in the next 2 or 3 minutes. And then like you offered a solution where if there is a want for continued discussion in that circle, those people are more than welcome to, rejoin the breakout room once they've kind of provided the feedback that they'd like.
Yeah, it's not mandatory. If people are really on a roll and they're like, no, we're in the middle, we're not going back, well, they don't go back. But I think as a rule, at least the moderator should come back to the room for the feedback portion and then go back to the room after that. But I just think we have a lot of, almost everyone's regular on here. I think I've seen everybody before for the most part. So for anyone who's not new, maybe they don't have that same willingness for camaraderie and to follow the steps. So
yeah, I think that's a really great suggestion. I think it helps the flow and it kind of ties up the energies of the group really well. And then we can have our after thing if we want to continue. So that's a really, really great suggestion, JP.
Yeah, agreed. Wonderful. Does anyone else kind of have a piece of feedback? So we kind of I heard that we had some nice focused meetings and then kind of this idea of let's make sure we get back to the feedback room. Is this any kind of other ideas that people have, maybe problems people are dealing with, things that they want to speak to? Or maybe they have something, a really fun example of a great discussion that they had and they want to share more of a positive piece of feedback. That's also more than welcome.
We all like your moderating.
Yeah. That's true.
Thank you, Philip.
We had one nice interaction, I think, or sort of something that happened naturally, might happen in other groups as well. But we started just with the 3 of us, and then slowly some more trickled in. And the 6th person that trickled in was Rick. And there was a discussion going on, and he raised his hand, but we weren't doing any hand raising. And then, but then that sort of switched it to like, okay, now we're at 6. We need this because it's too difficult for like 3 people are in an active discussion. The 4th or the 5th can't jump in easily. So that, yeah, it was nice how that sort of naturally happened and kept the conversation organized. So it was good.
You can thank my mom for that. She raised me like, if you come in later, that please do not disturb the people who are busy. So I raised my hand.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, I think one time, the last time I was moderator, one of the kind of ideas is how do you give the hosts some sort of toolkit to guide the discussion? So I think that's really awesome that you all kind of have a natural example of, all it takes is for one member of the circle to say, hey, I'm going to raise my hand because I see this as being the best solution for me to get involved, to kind of change the structure of it. So I think that's really cool that naturally formed.
One thing what I like a lot as well, also by starting this problem sensing, that on the beginning, I think the very first month and weeks, it was a lot about open discussion and check out each other, meet each other and everything. And that there are coming more and more situations now where people say, really, okay, now hey, we're going to go in action and everything. So that all of these relations, there are really work groups coming out a little bit, but totally informal. But you know each other already, so you know, okay, he's like this, she's like this. So it's a really nice, totally open and quite respectful atmosphere to work with each other. For example, with this problem sensing, it makes it for me extremely comfortable to go through this process because you know the people already, you trust them already, you know, okay, it works like this and it works like that. And so it's a really nice workflow, at least, where you show also, okay, cool, relation is, yeah, there is a lot of value, even with people, with a bunch of people you never met in real life. So it's really beautiful to see this developing out of time.
I liked how it happened really naturally too. Like you said, the first few meetings were kind of this divergent idea gathering, and there are all these stickies and everything, and then it started to converge today. And we were actually converging down to a point where Felix is like, "Hey guys, I can't go back to the circle and just have 2 sticky notes. Like that's not going to work." And it was this really funny point where we're like, "Oh yeah, we need to actually maybe write a document or something." So we started doing that, and that felt like a huge shift where we're kind of focusing down and actually articulating 2 sticky notes into something much more usable. So that was a really great moment for me, because it started with kind of this laughing kind of sticky note joke, and then we actually really started getting into building a doc. So that felt like a really good shift in the flow and energy.
So is there not going to be like the 2 ideas presented? Is there going to be like there's a document instead?
Exactly.
That's cool.
So tick. Wait, I can just share the beginning of everything. So now we can switch from Miro on the Google Docs. I have the Miro board as well.
So you're doing your breakout room in feedback session.
Yeah.
It's gotta take advantage.
Still in the feedback now, or are we now switched?
You're moved right in the honeypot, my friend.
Because now that everybody's here, I just wanted to ask one thing. Has anybody any idea that a team in Japan of 5 people is now already working for 3-4 weeks with a lot of effort to create a real expo in Japan somewhere in October? I was so surprised. My Japanese ambassador said something about it casually, and then he showed me the work and he was talking about it. It's quite large, and you want to have exposure. And actually, I have not seen in any Discords anybody ever saying anything about an initiative that big. And it really made me, well, first of all, he's an ambassador, and I want to promote that, but it shows me that really our communities, Japanese and the Western, actually we know absolutely nothing, because an initiative that big in the Western side, everybody here would have known or heard about it somewhere, but me, absolutely nothing. And so I was wondering if next week I can do some sort of breakout room, Felix, here, and if I can then in the swarm perhaps make for the Expo Japan, because I feel like there must be other people who want to support an initiative like that in Japan for outreach. They ask for no funding. They have a state pool expo. Well, nobody knows about that. So I was thinking, yeah, at least people here should, and that's the task of the ambassadors. And I want to make like Idea Fest also videos about that and present it, because from what I heard, it might be way bigger than what we imagined. They were talking and doing real effort in reaching out even bigger names, so to speak. So
For this, you shouldn't ask me. You simply drop the question on the server, and then you have your room.
Yeah, we're all very happy to have people from the community having rooms. That's the whole point. And you know, we're all very happy when someone says, "Can I have a room?" Yes, of course you can have a room. That's the point, right?
It's all about.
like I said, I was raised polite by my mom. Many people might not think so, but really.
That's nice. That's nice. And also we need to maybe be a little bit clearer about, you know, being open and all of that. But like Felix said, you know, just write in the server, and for sure we also noticed maybe lately that maybe we are not as active in the Discord as maybe we should be, and And there's plenty of great conversations in the Discord. I know Marta is active in channels. You guys are discussing great things. And of course, and if any of that you want to display and share with the community, we want this to be your first stop in the way of becoming, I don't know, changing the world project. So yeah, definitely. Rick, we'll write you down for next Saturday, and yeah, that's it. And Aidan, you can be the moderator again.
Always happy to be. Always happy to be.
Is that called a Chinese volunteer or something like that? Like you are the volunteer, Aidan.
Because
I'm happy to take the position. Yeah, always happy to help moderate. I have a fun time doing so.
Yeah. Also, maybe I don't know. Like I see few new faces, today. Blaine is new for me, but everybody else, I think I know. Please, share the story. I don't know. Maybe I'm sure there's more than like 20 some people active in the community. So, let's try and get more people in. Like, if you have active projects that you want to just talk about or present, go ahead. Why not? Let this be a place where we can talk and experiment and try. And we can push our things, but we also don't want to do that. Look, I don't want to have a room every Saturday and just be me talking about. It's not the point. I would like to participate, learn, see other perspectives, and all of us here, I think, are the same.
Just Marta with her apple. It's really it's a sight mesmerizing, that picture. It's really she should get money from Apple. Sorry.
Hey, Rick. By the way, that's someone gave me that hat. It's like it's in Seattle. It gets lots of really weird comments. Believe me, but then my dog chewed it up, so it doesn't really exist anymore.
Oh,
because I think also just by when we're on this topic already, I think just by looking back on the history, how all this stuff started, it was by people coming together, speaking about topics, and then we became too many people in a room. So we said, okay, so who wants to speak about what at least? So people started simply creating their own breakout rooms with their own topics. And it was all the time like this. So it was the community who decided the topics, the breakout rooms. And now everything becomes a little bit more, let's say, professional. And we have something what is called Hive. We have something what is called veterans. We have something what is called support. But well, there's not really a clear architecture behind. And we don't want to lose what we started on the beginning. It's everything. Swarm is only, there is no real ownership. It's a community, and it's community interest driven as well. And I think one problem what we made already is that we never wrote something down like this. How is a breakout room decided? By who? Who has the right to decide that there is a breakout room or not? And now we come a little bit to a point where, well, we start a lot of projects and different things and all. And for example, let's say there's people who are all the time engaged in the sessions to set them up and everything. Just by a need, we are focused a little bit on inside stuff. And this is dangerous because when we focus too much on the inside, we don't look on the outside anymore to the community without this clear stuff. Hey, everything here, it's ours. It's not only this 6 or 9 people in the core, or this 9 people in the veterans, or something like this. So I think we shouldn't lose this, really.
Mm-hmm. So, also to build a little bit on what Felix is saying, we also understand that everybody has their own projects now. I mean, everybody. I think a lot of people have their own projects now. And I remember when I started in Swarm, it was just a place for me to get to know people and get to see what's even possible, right? Maybe when you get more familiar and when you see, okay, especially now the Fund 6 is starting, maybe everybody's preparing their proposals, they're working on their business models, they're working on making, if you're a developer, you have to sit down and write code. You can't really afford maybe to, you know, talk and whatever. And I can appreciate that as well. But still, you know, we like to keep in touch, and we also, you know, why not promote your project here? This can be a marketing platform for anyone. I can tell you personally that there are people who want to tap into the resources of Catalyst that just don't know how, like corporate people, right? They don't know how. They because it's difficult. Like imagine if you're a company and you tell one of your employees, okay, go inside of Catalyst and find people who are active there. Like it's chaos. It'll take so long. And we here can do that. We know the processes, we know the people, we know where you can do it, what you can do. So why not tap into that? Let's, you know, so, you know, these rooms, like Felix said, you know, it's not that we are saying, and we never wanted to be like that. Ah, yes, I decide who gets to have a room and who's not. Like, and the lack of structure is there because we didn't know what we're doing. We still don't. So it's not that we want to limit anyone. So, you know, I think that's obvious. But yeah, just sometimes push us. And, you know, also we expect some kind of a drive coming from the Discord server, from any of you. Like, come up, say, look, I want to have a room because I want to do this. You know, Pete asked me, he has a second round of DAO. I had the first one, Anthony had one, and it's a great thing, and it's moving on, and everybody's always a great conversation. You know, that it can be NFT, it can be DeFi, it can be social tokens, it can be whatever we want it to be, right? We can have educational content, we can have price action talks if that's what you want. It doesn't really matter, right? But we also try to be careful to not push what we want as much. We want to motivate the community, not only you, but everybody, to say what they want and make it happen. That's when it becomes a generic effort. If it's just 5 of us meeting 2 times a week, deciding what rooms are we going to have and we're going to moderate them, then it's our agenda, basically.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that's a great point on the idea of kind of using this as a marketing platform. At least one thing that I think works really well, and I think Blaine can attest to this, is the concept of giving people a platform leads to virality. So in the infographic example that Blaine produced for Cardano Source, he gave everyone this kind of great infographic platform where everyone was able to, you know, be tagged and essentially wanted to share it because they feel as though they were part of the platform or part of that experience. So I think if we want to get more people in the Catalyst swarm, a great idea could be saying, hey, you know, we'll hold a circle whenever there's interested of basically like a mini idea fest, where now you have all of these, you know, proposals that would love to have an audience just to speak about their, you know, maybe it's in the, you know, innovation stage where you can still edit your proposal, and they would love to have people to, you know, see their proposal and then review it and give feedback in live time, and then they can edit their proposal from there. Or maybe we're getting closer to voting and they simply want more eyeballs on it and to answer anybody's questions. So one thing that we could do is by having some sort of idea fest circle on a weekly basis or whenever it's warranted, we simply just ask, hey, if you have a project in the Cardano ecosystem, consider it's in your own best interest to invite people to come in and join your Idea Fest circle so that they can view your presentation. So we can almost, if we create a platform for proposers with, you know, social channels that are active to come in, like someone like Liquid, who has this kind of large audience that they could, you know, attract people to, you give them a platform to talk, and then you tell them, hey, it's smart of you to invite people to the platform. We could get some new faces in here as well, if that is kind of something of interest to people.
Yeah,
I think that's a great idea.
Great idea. Yeah.
Thank you.
JP.
So I was, okay, a couple things. Responding to your idea there, Aiden, I think during the town halls, there's the trend to showcase a couple presenters and speak to it. So maybe you could build the link that way, that the people who present their presentations come to talk to it on the weekends, because then you have that follow through. I also think it could be good during the town hall. We are seeming, from my limited experience, we are seeming to blur the lines between the swarm and the town hall, and they've assumed similar goals. Like, yes, we have the first update, but then the after hangout is really a mini swarm in different ways. So I wonder if there's a link to bridge, you know, the ideas, or socialize the ideas that are going to be discussed in the swarm during the town hall as well, to build up interest so people can come if they're, because not everyone's on Discord and wants to do it, but people do come and listen to the town hall. Or then you set up, okay, we're gonna, after the town hall, talk about ideas, and then on the weekend where we workshop those ideas. So then you kind of, it flies, everyone knows, gets the background, and then they can have that informed discussion on the weekend. So maybe something hybrid around that.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I mean, Felix and I spoke a while back about, just for my project called Player Mint, just the concept of, hey, if you have a spot in town hall and then you have a spot in after town hall, you have this kind of immediate, you know, presentation and then I guess reaction or Q&A discussion process. So I think, like you said, creating that bridge between, hey, people that, you know, want an extended discussion or an extended kind of engagement, come to the Catalyst Swarm. This is your place to kind of speak and present. I think creating that bridge is a really good idea. And it kind of links to actually what we were discussing about in the Toolmakers and Maintainers circle. So I think that's a great idea, JP, inviting those people who have already presented. The one thing that I'll say, and then I'll stop talking, would just be that in general, the people presenting are funded proposals. Like they're already have been funded. So it might be nice to do a mix between, you know, give the funded proposals a spotlight to say, hey, here's what we've been up to and what we've done with funds. And then also to give opportunities that are kind of on the ballot and a discussion platform as well.
Have to connect that with social media, as you said, Aidan, as well, to you know, promote that on social media as well.
Sophie.
Yeah, I think that brings up an interesting point that I have been thinking about in the recent town halls. So, because they're sort of slimming down, right? And there's different parts to the town hall. There's like the part where there's updates coming from IOG that really they only can provide, you know, the updates on the numbers of voting and the schedule and like that really important stuff. And then there's like the spotlight where they take usually funded proposals or people who have been active or have done some work. But at what point does the after town hall just like fulfill that role, right? If there people can take that spot. Also related to the earlier points of Felix of like and Philip is like, yeah, but we don't want any group to have to decide who gets the spotlight, right? And of course, it was good that IOG did that or is doing that because, well, we need, yeah, we have to start somewhere to create awareness, and you also want to celebrate the success stories. But I could also imagine that in the near future, the intro part is really just like an update part, and maybe at some point it just like all blends together and there's just a room. If you want the updates from IOG, you can go into that breakout room, you know, or maybe that stays separate. But just curious about that thought of like yeah, all the spotlights could just be like, because it's always nice if there's just interaction and if there's like people showing up that really want to ask questions, that want to engage, provide feedback. Yeah.
You're muted.
Right. On the other hand, I would say a lack of focus can deter involvement. So if you just have people you just focus just on interaction, then people may be turned away because people will come, and this is a feedback I get a lot from people. They come to after town hall or whatever, and they just feel that there's nothing for them to do specifically. There's no focus. It just seems to be all interaction, and the interactions are from people they don't know. So on the other hand, I would push back against that, and I say you need to have focus. If you have focus, then you can attract people who are not from this ecosystem, and that's the people we need to attract, and we need to scale those people up.
I think there's room for both. And I love that Town Hall has like structured breakout rooms and a listening portion. I think it has a really good balance. I would even say, in addition to the focus swarm sessions, we always leave a room or 2 or 3 available for any emergent things where people are like, oh, I really want to talk about this, and they bring it up in the moment and they have a place to go to do that. Having that space is super valuable, I think, but also have options of focus so that if you're showing up for a specific topic, then you have a place to go and interact. I've been to pure open space, and it can be really watered down and chaotic because people are kind of trying to think on the spot, oh, what do we talk about today? And then you also have those conferences where it's just fixed topics, and there's very little chance, especially in the big ones, to actually meet people who have similar interests and stuff. So being able to blend the two, maybe even time to time, is, I would find that super helpful and useful.
That's a great point.
Because
go ahead, Felix.
But by this, I think also in the beginning, I still remember it started a little bit to change. I think it was 1 month ago, but before it was always about experimenting new formats. Nobody knows what next week would look like. And now we start a little bit to repeating the same process and everything. So it comes a little, I think on one side, it's good to figure out a structure which works, okay, but we should not stop to experiment, because the whole space here, it's made for experimenting, no? Cardano and Catalyst itself, so.
And the experimenting, would that just happen through talking with each other on Discord? Like kind of coming up with ideas of, you know, what could happen. Yeah, Discord.
Exactly.
Okay.
And especially also
join that.
and especially also to say who decides what next week should look like. It's, I think, everybody. It's not only this people with this role or whatnot. So somebody has an idea, you want to take initiative, okay, take responsibility as well and do it. And maybe show that you have a maybe even much better idea than whatnot.
I think at the start, the why we had more experiments was that people were not introduced to the tools. Like when we started with the Discord, nobody was, okay, there's a chat. And then we found out, okay, there's a limit of how many people can have videos. And then we had to figure out how do we move them to the Miro board, because we wanted to show them, hey, we made this circle on the Miro board, let's use it. And then we thought, okay, now there is this, and how do we move stuff around? Like, how do we make a process out of it? And so we kind of took a new tool, and everything was new for us. And so we just tried different combinations, but now we kind of settle it in, which is, I don't know, in one sense, it's efficient, but then again, now the fun part of messing up is like lost.
Again, I'll push back a little bit on that, because I think if you place the onus on experimentation, then you're placing a pressure on people to experiment. So you're raising expectations of people as well. So again, maybe it's about having a space for both things, as Nori was saying. So a space where people can just come along and they know what they can expect. And that, if you've got a place where you know what to expect, then that's easy for you to go there and do that. And then maybe another space which is experimental.
So we need a mystery session 1 hour before a catalyst. Nobody knows what's gonna happen, but
just no meeting, no Zoom call. Yeah, what do you expect?
Yeah, the pre-town hall. We're going back to Discord.
We have now under 25 people. You can do this. What about them? Yeah, I know. I think what Philip actually said was quite true in a sense that back when it all started, it was more like connecting people. But once you get connected, you're like, okay, let's do this, let's do this. And now the entire calendar is filled with 10 people up, and like entire week is just doing stuff. So this is like one of the things of the many I did. But at that time, it was just the only thing every week. So
Because no one knew anyone.
Is the general objective to get as many people as we can to these sessions within the Cardano community? Is that kind of?
It's something what we tried on the beginning, I think, was by reaching out and this and that. And then I think we came to 40, 50, 60, whatnot people. But I think it shouldn't be the goal. It's
Yes,
not.
there has to be an overarching goal, right?
I think it's not depends on reaching out to as many as possible. It's just, do we want to influence, for example, set up a structure where you really try to capture as most as possible? Because by this you create already a dominative structure a little bit. So maybe even avoid this and say, yeah, okay, who shows up? It's the right person. Not quality, not quantity, more quality.
So like depth versus width. So prioritizing depth over width, yeah.
Because personally, I prefer much more a breakout room with 5, 6, 7 people than a breakout room where I have 20, 30 people, because there it's really difficult to have any kind of conversation. Already more than the half will never say something because there isn't even time. And you always have some people who speak a lot and others more introverted, so they will never speak up. With 5, 6 people are really beautiful.
I agree.
Yeah,
Yeah, I would say it's
I
more.
have often the problem in a big that you forget what you want to say because you have to wait long, and then oh yeah, and that person said something, and I want to say that, and then that person, and by the time it's up to you, you've forgotten actually half of the points you wanted to make, or the conversation is so long gone that you wonder, should I even make it? So 5, 6, 7, 8 maximum, but indeed when you have 20 or something.
If the goal is quality and you reach a certain level, let's say 10 people, and we have reached that level at certain periods in the past few weeks, doesn't that become self-selecting? So we become the community, and then we become exclusive because we are the community by default who has become present here.
I think it's a, oh, go ahead, Devo.
I know, I just commented.
Yeah, I think there's a balance between, because I mean, as blockchain systems, there's this element of permissionless, where you don't need permission from a single authority or essential authority in order to interact and gain access to a protocol. You have the same access as anyone else. So I think there's a balance between making sure that, one, the people that show up are the right people, but also making sure that there is the flyer, or there is the capacity for essentially new people to learn that they have this space for them. So I think it's more so about saying, hey, like I believe Tivo, you send out a lot of messages into like the Catalyst, standard Catalyst Discord, and that's a great way to get people who are engaged and involved into these Zoom sessions. So I think it's a matter of just making sure that people are aware that they have a platform should they like to use it. But there's nothing like, hey, maybe you don't got to cram it down their throats, but there's this awareness of, hey, if you want to join in, we're going to have some quality discussions. So I think there's a balance between how much do you market something like this versus how much do you simply just state it, like, in the after town hall saying, hey, come to the Catalyst Swarm if you want to be further a part of this. So I think there's kind of there's a balance for sure.
So running Facebook ads to join one of these calls is maybe going a bit too far.
Yeah. I mean, I guess Blaine, just because I don't mean to put you on the spot, but because you become welcome to the swarm. Is there any kind of like, what was kind of your experience, I guess, of like joining the swarm? How did you find out about it? Like what led you to here, and what made you want to, register for the Zoom and join in?
Yeah, so through Twitter, I just saw on the homepage on my Twitter feed, the invite to the Zoom call. Because I'm kind of don't know anyone really here, I hopped on YouTube to try and get an insight into what goes on. So there's from my perspective, there's a bit of a mystery around what actually happens here, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm not sure. But I liked how there was just, there is this invite here, and if you're curious enough, you will click on the link. And I'm quite curious, so I clicked on the link.
Yeah, I think that's a great kind of, I guess, exploration of the user journey of, if you have that flyer or that place to capture someone's attention, and then if they're curious enough to interact with it. It's interesting that you said your next step was trying to figure out what these meetings were all about. So maybe that's something that as a group we can try to work on is how do we, maybe I don't know if there is a Catalyst Swarm I believe there is a Swarm Twitter, maybe using that Twitter to say, hey, we're about to have a call. This is kind of the standard structure. So it might be kind of cool to talk with people like yourself, Blaine, and ask the new members. I know, some companies will do this with their new members. Like, how did you find out about us? I think, maybe not everyone wants to answer a survey, but it might be nice during these feedback sessions to ask new members, what led you here? And then we can focus on strengthening those kind of pathways. Because maybe making sure that there's a very easy pathway. If you search up, Catalyst Swarm, you can come to a quick YouTube video or something of saying, hey, this is what the Catalyst Swarm is, or something like that.
And if I could offer, maybe it's just a recording of a mini swarm. That's it. What is it? Take a look. This is what we do.
And just to add on to that, even a quicker version of that would just be, I know in some of these group chats, at the very end, we take a kind of a screenshot of the call, and then you kind of share that on Twitter, just as everyone waving or whatever. I don't know who's, if everyone's keen on that, but it kind of just humanizes that whole thing a little bit. And like if I just saw a photo of, the people involved, maybe there would be slightly less friction for me to click on that Zoom link. Like I kind of felt the need to go on YouTube just to see what was up a little bit, just so that I wasn't going completely into the unknown. Whereas a screenshot of this could maybe entice a few curious minds.
Let's get Martha's hat viral. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think that's a brilliant idea. And maybe, when we close up the feedback session, for those interested in doing a screenshot like that, I think it's kind of up to Felix. I'm not sure who has control of the Catalyst Swarm Twitter, or maybe we could even post it in like TiVo, the messages that you send out to the Catalyst Project Catalyst Discord. Maybe it'd be cool to add in an image like that for the people that are interested. If you don't want to be a part of that screenshot, I don't think it's like you have to stay here, you have to be part of it. For those interested,
I know some people aren't into that, and that's cool.
But yeah, I personally, I think that's a great idea. I think that the humanizing of saying, hey, like, these are the faces you'll see, and then a lot of people kind of, giving a wide-eyed grin and giving a thumbs up and showing a little personality, I think can do a great job of saying, hey, like, join these swarms. These are the people you get to meet and talk with.
You could use it for marketing. It's just an idea popping in. But for instance, everybody's for a certain region. Suppose I'm from Belgium, I show a beer. Germany shows a sausage. You show that, and then you put that pick, and you can then say, okay, that's a riddle. Who can identify everything that's on the picture here? In the next Zoom, you can come, and we'll then do something. We'll give something, a reward or some incentive. So it might be interesting to see who responds, because, well, sometimes I find everything here is so serious, and sometimes a bit more fun can perhaps attract some people as well. Just my line of thinking.
Yeah, I think that's clever. Adding in fun little games for people to get involved in, because then that breaks down. That's almost like a let's break the ice before the people even come in. So at least one cool thing, and I don't want to talk a huge amount, but one cool thing that when I was in the Fund for coordinator meeting that happened, I believe last Tuesday, is that we came in and we all of the people that were involved read off the kind of like, this is an experiment kind of statement that begins at every town hall. And we all tried to do it in unison. And it was kind of this like funny, it's like, oh, we're all in different parts of the world, all trying to read a script at the same time into a Zoom call. And, everyone's off, but it was kind of this funny moment of breaking down the ice. And everyone had kind of a little chance to almost have like a very small, I don't know what I'd call it, like a little small, like almost like failure, but we all kind of failed together in that essence, or had some sort of kind of fun thing we did together. And it really broke down the barriers and kind of made it a bit easier to speak with one another. So maybe it'd be cool to almost break the ice through Blaine's idea of doing a screenshot, humanize the process, break the ice, let people feel free to kind of come in without, experiencing any kind of, oh, I'm kind of scared, I don't know who's going to show up type of experience.
Yeah, well, if you go on like that, for instance, if everybody would take one sentence of that whole speech and you added them all besides, then you can see there's a variation. You see, well, there's a huge variation between Martha, me, and Felix, so to speak, and everybody else. So then you can show people like, yeah, it's not for this or that person. Literally, you can look, see, be, say, whatever you are. Just come and give your opinion. So, well.
I just came up with random 10-second game we could try. You were in the breakout rooms. Point your finger in two people you saw in there.
That's a great idea.
So to me it would be.
Wait.
Oh
my God! Hey, I was sitting here chilling in my chair, guys. I was laying back, and so who did I see? Wait, where's Martha? Okay, there's Martha.
Wait,
okay, that's not easy. I can't reach Martha. Okay, Martha, you're hiding. And where's the second
no,
one?
This is actually quite
oh my
difficult.
God, this is difficult, more difficult. I feel so stupid
I don't
now.
think everybody is in the same order on every.
Sophie, yes, I find Sophie, you're easy, right below me. How could I not see you? Oh, I'm gonna go for
the video of that would have been hilarious, actually.
You're recording, so we can take a good, better screenshot
no,
of that.
No, we're not recording.
Well, I mean, that's interesting. I did an interview with Ken Adams, and we tried to end the interview by doing like a big high five. So that could almost be like a cool thing too, if you got a big clip of everyone kind of like high-fiving their camera together, or kind of a big, or you put your hands like this and it's like the group high five, we'll see you next week type of deal.
Yeah, I just took a shower, so no problem. See. Yeah, but the fun part, see, and actually it's been, well, why do you think? I'm not sure if that's everywhere, but the cleaning clowns, that works because people are laying there ill and it's a serious, everybody's there and those clowns come and people just laugh and just set their mind up. And you can actually see the numbers. It has really medical value. So laughing fun has value. And actually, isn't it somewhere, I thought in Japan, they have people going there in the businesses and they massage people and they make them laugh and do sorts of stuff. also to increase productivity. So being too serious is counterproductive.
Good point.
Yeah. That's great stuff. Wonderful. Well, does anyone else have kind of a piece of feedback that they want to bring up, or maybe if people are interested, we can try out this, you know, pointing or high-fiving or waving to the camera and get like a little screenshot for the next town hall, or if that's of interest to people, or if anyone has a bit of feedback they want to go over.
Quick
This
question.
pointing was like, I don't know what you say, not recording, because I see a recording button there. So, so we can.
Is it the
take
same
it.
time every week?
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
So next homework is come up with icebreakers. So next time we start with stupid things.
Yeah.
We just need Kaiser. He's a living icebreaker.
Yeah. He was in here earlier.
He was, yes.
Yeah, he missed out.
Yeah, maybe we could all try to do the wave together, like the whoa.
Yeah, but it's different for
this-
everyone, right?
Yeah, true.
And I think the sessions never became too serious, because it was never about being professional or claim to be a professional service. I think we should not be too serious about speaking, of not becoming too serious, because for me it was never too serious all this stuff. So
Or maybe one day we should join and play a game. Like I still want to like this online games. Like I don't know what was that name, Among Us or Jackboxes or those these where
Oh
you can
yes.
crowd people. All of
I've
these.
poker, Texas.
And that's a really good idea. Play
one-
like those Jackbox games. That's perfect.
Yeah, we could do something like Quiplash. I'm not sure if anyone's ever played that before. That's a great one, and it's actually on. Interestingly enough, it's on sale at Steam on Steam right now. I think it's like only like $3 or so. So that's kind of a fun one, and I think only one person needs to own it, and then the rest of us join in from like a smartphone.
Yeah.
I got
I got
two
some
versions.
Jackbox games on Steam. The rest, yeah, only the host has to run it, and they can share their screen, and then the rest can play on their phone. Works really well. I did it with like colleagues and friends. It's a good idea.
We could also try, like, well, for those not from the United States, they know soccer, and you have all those countries, and sometimes they have those chants. I not know the people from Iceland, they started then with clapping and everybody, and they start slow, and then there's the other, and then they go who, and then somebody does. The next time we do something else is actually something silly that we all do at the end, but I don't do the haka. If you know rugby, I'm not going to stand there doing that.
I know that one.
There's the limit. That's the limit. I'm not going to do that. Clapping or something, or singing. Yeah, but just a
Oh, karaoke.
Was that the haka?
I remember one time in the after session, it was on Discord, we had a music bot.
Oh yeah, that's fun.
So everybody put random music on the bot, and it was, I think, fucking crazy.
I went straight 2 a.m. that night.
Psycho, whatnot. Crazy music just at 3 o'clock in the morning. Speaking about, on one moment about pyramids, and the next about quantum physics, and the next about ADA, and the next about auras and chakras. This was really cool.
Yeah, well,
that conversation lasted long.
Yeah, this was legendary.
Well, you guys were talking about astrophysics and chakras.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. I'm all about that.
With hardcore techno in the
background. You should try to investigate which music works best. Apparently opera music and all sorts of stuff that stimulates the brain, That's why little children and all sorts of them, you see, nobody plays opera in their house except when their babies are born. Then you hear all those music going for the baby and for themselves. But that, yeah. So,
I think stuff like this, the most beautiful moments you have, if they are not organized, they are not pre-designed, they come spontaneously. It just happens, and this is what really adds the value. When you start to organize everything, and oh yeah, and now let's have fun. I mean, come on, don't tell me now to have fun. No.
They actually did even research about cars, and when you play hard music and techno, you overspeed way easier. So the tendency of people is just putting in the gas automatically. So if you have hardcore, and so every one of those sporters, like the cyclists, they really have that techno and they get so pumped up. So perhaps for the astrophysics, it's also needed to pump up your brain. So it should be actually mandatory. Can you imagine? In this college, oh, why do you have earplugs? Well, our professor astrophysics is giving a course, so I'm putting in my earplugs now.
Well, great session. I learned a few more things. Screen, you lose screen share.
For example,
it's a good investment when you can find the prime domain with the general reference for less than $50.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Why would
People buy
anyone
and flip domains.
why would anyone buy the domain from someone else when they can just take an IO domain or whatever?
No, it's the prime ones, .io, .com. Those still give advantages. Even now, Google search says, and apparently it's so, that they're not getting advantage no more. But as in everything, marketing is the subconscious. And still there's a great difference. If you see two domain names, you see a .io and a .org or a something else, 95% for people will click on the .com or the .io. So you can, of course, you can generate if you're well enough, but if you want to have people who know absolutely nothing to go to your site as first, and usually it's just like in the yellow pages, people look, choose 3 sites and then pick someone out of those 3. That's the top. So in marketing, and it's in statistic games, you need to have as much input onto your site as you can get. That's why people pay big bucks for marketing. Well, a good prime domain name is probably way better than any marketing plan you will ever do to get the same result or effect. I mean,
Yeah, I think it's a big credibility thing, especially in crypto when you have lots of potential scams. When you have a project that is able to have a nice name or a nice domain name, I think it's kind of adds a layer of officiality to it.